Good morning to everyone. I am Dr. K. Vijay Kumar, Associate Professor, Public Administration, Government City College, Hyderabad. Today, our topic is Union Administration, Historical Background, Evaluation of Indian Administration. Last class, we will started this topic. We already, in last class, we have started this topic, but not completed. Today, we will complete the topic. Once again I repeat it, these are the subtopics or objectives. Introduction, Mauryan and Guptan administration, Saptanga theory of state, features of Mauryan administration, features of Gupta administration, and administration during Mughal and British period. Then features of Mughal administration and features of British administration. Then the comparison of administrative systems. Then lastly, conclusion. These are the objectives. Explain the concept of Saptanga theory of state. Describe the important features of Mauryan and Gupta, Mughal and British administration. Identify the similarities and dissimilarities of different administrative systems. Introduction. Even last class also it is over. Then Mauryan and Gupta administration. It is also on last class it is over. Saptanga theory. It is an important theory. Once again I repeat it. Saptanga theory of state. According to Kautilya and his book Ardhashastra. In the Kautilya's Ardhashastra, the state is depicted as an organization consisting of 7 organs. 7 organs. Saptanga. Sapta means 7. In that, Swami means the head or the master. He is the chief executive and chief legislator and chief judge. The main duty of the Swami was to look after the happiness and welfare of the people. You take any department, there is a head. You take any institution, there is a head. In those days, they called the head of the institution, the head of the department, head of the branch, like Swami. In present days, we are calling head of the institution, head of the branch, head of the department, etc. So in those days, that is Swami, according to Kautilya's Ardhashastra. Swami is the head of the institution, whatever it may be, institution, department, branch. Then Amatya. Amatya means minister. Amatya means minister. It also means various types of government officials along with the ministers. They included high officers such as the chief priest, ministers, collectors, treasurers, officers engaged in civil and criminal administration. Officer in charge of Arab envoys and the superintendents of various departments. That means that are ministers, means Amatya. Janapada. Janapada means population and territory. Population and territory. According to Ardhashastra, the territory should have a good climate, provide grazable land, be fertile so that it yields grain with little labor, and inhabited by industries, peasants who are capable of bearing the burden of taxes. That's called Janapada in the Saptanga theory. Then Durga, it means fortress. Ardhashastra gives it a wider meaning, describing it in the sense of a fortified capital. That means Durga. Then Kosa. Kosa means treasury. According to Kautilya's Ardhashastra, the treasury accumulated by righteous and legitimate means should be retained by the kind. It should be filled with gold, silver, precious jewelries and gems, and be able to stand the strain of expenditure during the times of adversity such as famines. Then Danda. Danda means army. According to Kautilya, the army should consist of hereditary, hired, forest and corporation soldiers comprising infantry, charioteer, infantry and cavalry. The army should be hereditary and loyal. Their sons and wives should be contented with the maintenance received from the state. Then Mitra. It means friendly state. You have to maintain the friendly relations with neighbor states, according to Saptanga theory. According to Kautilya, the Hali should be hereditary, not artificial, one with whom there is no possibility of descent, and one who is ready to come to help when occasion demands. This is the Saptanga theory of state according to Kautilya's Ardhashastra. Then the features of Mauryan administration. The Mauryan Empire was indeed the first attempt in India to secure administrative centralization on an extended scale. Monarchy was the prevailing form of government in the Mauryan period and was hereditary. It was very wide. The concerns life, religion, ethics, society, family, economic, culture, they are embracing whole life. The Mauryans maintained secrecy in administration, and all measures were taken in safeguarding and practicing the government information. The Mauryan Empire was indeed the first attempt in India to secure administrative centralization on an extended scale. Monarchy was the prevailing form of government in the Mauryan period and was hereditary. The Mauryan state activity was very wide and was integrated into the vast institutional apparatus for all the main concerns of life: religion, ethics, society, family, economics, and culture, thereby embracing the whole of life. The government by nature was authoritarian and the administration was organized in a autocratic form. The Mauryans maintained secrecy in administration and all the measures were taken in safeguarding and protecting the government information. They are maintained the secrecy in administration. They are practiced in their times, the Mauryan Empire. Then the central government. The Mauryan government was highly centralized and bureaucratic in nature. It was mannered by numerous officials of varying grades and enjoyed many privileges. It kept in touch with all phases of the political, economic, and social life, and had at its command a mass of accurate and detailed information of the human and material sources of the entire empire. The important institutions of the central government are in the Mauryan government. The important institutions in the central government of Mauryan administration. These are, the first one is the king, then the council of ministers and the secretariat. Then first the king. The king was the supreme authority. His well-being was considered as the well-being of the people of empire. He was a constitutional monarch bound by the common law of the land, i.e. Aryavarta. It was a kind of paternalistic government, and everything bound for the people by the king. The king was an important element. The king was an important element in the administrative apparatus of Mauryans. He was like a father of his people. He was like a father of his people. He was the fountainhead of all powers and authority, and used to look after everything in the state. His duties were varied and manifold. He was the head of the administration of justice, law, and the army. He was the head. King was the head of the administration of justice, law, and the army. Then he was the highest court of appeal in the empire, and his decrees were laws. Appointments to important offices are made by the king himself. Then he laid down the broad guidelines of policy and issued codes of regulations. Sasana, Dharma, Niyama, etc. for his officers and for the people also. He laid down the broad guidelines of policy and issued codes of regulations. Shasanas, Dharmas, Niyamas for his officers and as well as for people also. Though the king wielded such extensive despotic powers, he was guided by the noblest ideals of beneficence and was considered as the servant of the people and strove for their welfare. He controlled both the treasure and the military forces. Though there were commander in chief, there were commander in chief. The king presided over the council of ministers. Over the council of ministers and its decisions had to receive royal assent. Taxation was largely determined by the customary law. Taxation was largely determined by the customary law. But the king could increase or decrease its incidence. Theoretically, the king had no legislative power, but he could supplement the provisions of the customary law by his own ordinances. Thus, that is the king's nature in the empire of Mauryans. Then, Council of Ministers. Council of Ministers. The king was supported and guided by his council of ministers called mantris in the administration of the empire. The crown princes and viceroy of the Mauryan Empire also had their own council of ministers in their courts. The Amartya called council of ministers were selected from among the general body of governmental officials. They were noted devotion, trust, worthiness, and approved services. The administration had an inner cabinet of 4 or 5 persons consisting of the Yuvaraja, Prime Minister, Purohit, the Commander in Chief, and the Treasury. The Council of Ministers, the king was supported and guided by his Council of Ministers called mantris in the administration of the empire. Similarly, the crown princes and viceroys of the Mauryan Empire also had their own councils of ministers in their courts. The Amatyas, called Council of Ministers, were selected from among the general body of government officials. They are noted for their devotion, trustworthiness, and approved services. In addition to these mantrins, there was a council of advisors. Council of advisors called Mantri Parishad. Mantri Parishad, which was consulted in times of emergency. This council was an important tool of the Mauryan administration. Mantri Parishad was the important tool in those days in their administration. The administration also had an inner cabinet of 4 or 5 persons. The administration also had an inner cabinet of 4 or 5 persons consisting of the Yuvaraja, Prime Minister, Purohita, the head priest. Purohita means the head priest. Purohita means the head priest, the commander in chief, and the treasurer. The historical evidence reveals that Chandragupta Maurya was completely in the hands of his Prime Minister Kautilya. Kautilya, he was the Prime Minister of Chandragupta Maurya. Also, he wrote the great book that is Ardhashastra. His names are Vishnugupta and Chanakya also. His names. He was the Prime Minister of Chandragupta Maurya. Completely. The historical evidence reveals that Chandragupta Maurya was completely in the hands of his Prime Minister Kautilya. And Ashoka's extravagant charity to Buddhist Sangha was curbed by his ministers. So, the ministry was in charge of the entire administration and made responsible for initiating new policies and for review the old ones, especially in the light of the sources available. The Council of Ministers was associated with all the important formal functions like receiving foreign ambassadors, etc. Foreign ambassadors, etc. Then the Secretariat and Civil Services. There was a highly organized secretariat for the conduct of state business, which included several departments and each one working under the control of an Adhyaksha or superintendent. Each department in turn assisted by accountants, scribes, stock takers, and spices, etc. The head of the departments used to work in census with their ministers to run the government. There was well organized civil services. Both executive and judicial officers trained in the art of administration. There was a highly organized secretariat, for the conduct of the state business, which included several departments and each one working under the control of an Adhyaksha or superintendent. Each department in turn assisted by accountants, scribes, stock takers, and spices. The heads of the departments used to work in consensus with their ministers. To run the government, there was a well organized civil service, both executive and judicial officers trained in the art of administration. The number of royal families were considered to fill the higher positions in the at the level of executive, judicial, and diplomatic departments. There was a clear system of recruitment, pay, and terms of conditions of services was resembling that of modern state services. Kautilya mentions two important officials, Sannidata and Samahara. Sannidata and Samaharta. The first one is in charge of the treasury. In charge of the treasury. Sannidata, according to Kautilya Ardhashastra, he mentioned two important officials. One is Sannidata and second one is Samaharta. Sannidata, he was the in charge of treasury, stores, maintenance of accounts. Sannidata, he was the in charge of the treasury and stores, maintenance of accounts. That's called Sannidata. Then Samaharta, he was the responsible for collecting revenues of the state. Samaharta. He was the responsible for the collecting revenues from different sources and also devising new methods to enhance the revenue sources of the state. Then the others are Akshapatak Adhyaksha. Patalaadhyaksha. Patalaadhyakshata. Akshapatalaadyksha. Akshapatalaadyksha was the accountant general in charge of currency. He was also in charge of currency. The other officials worthy of mention here were Dwarika, means gatekeeper, who regulated admissions to the royal palace. He was the in charge. Dwarika, gatekeeper. Then Antarvamsika. Antarvamsika, leader of the RM and guards who attended on the persons of the king. Then Dandapala, Pura, the prefect of the capital city. Dandapala, Pura, the prefect of the capital city. Vyavarika, the city judge. Vyavarika means the city judge. Karmantika. Karmantika. Karmantika, the superintendent of manufacturers. The superintendent of manufacturers. Durgapala, the governor of ports, and Anantapala, the governor of the frontier. This is the secretariat and the civil services of the Mauryan Empire. Then provincial governments. For administrative convenience, the vast Mauryan Empire was divided into 5 provinces. The provinces were under control of the governors. For administrative convenience, the vast Mauryan Empire was divided into the 5 provinces. Each provinces was further divided into divisions and even districts also. The provinces were under control of governors or viceroys. The basis of the imperial system of India. The provinces are the northern province or Uttarapata had its capital at Taxila. The western province are Avanti Rashtra at Ujjaini. Then southern province are Dakshinapata at Suvarnagiri. Then the eastern province are Kalinga Pracha at Tosali, and the central province at Pataliputra. It is the capital city of the empire. Then the governor of each province was called Kumara or Aryaputra. Who were generally belongs to the royal family. The provincial governor receives instructions about the general policy and administration from the king. Military leadership was regarded an essential qualification not only for ministerial but also for provincial governors. Provincial governors enjoyed high and wide powers. They had to maintain internal order and protect the province from external enemies contiguous to the territories under their charge. They were assisted by a number of employees, and efficient control over the provincial governors was also maintained in various ways. Besides, maintain the law and order and supervising revenue collection. The governors had to take steps for developing up resources of their provinces. The provinces were further divided into divisions, which in turns were divided into districts, rural and urban centers also. Provinces were further divided into divisions, which in turn were divided into districts, rural and urban centers. The name of the officer in charge of district or division was not one hand, the same hand called differently at different places. They are known as either Rajuka or Mahamatra, is referred to as the head of the division, receiving messages from the king directly and not through the royal viceroy. Then Pradeshika was the executive and judicial head of the district. The district was subdivided into like this. Sthaniya, it comprising 800 villages, 2 Dronamukhas. 2 Dronamukhas means 800 villages. Sthaniya, 800 villages, it is Sthaniya in those days. Then Dronamukha comprising 400 villages, 2 Karvitikas, 2 Karvitikas. Then Karvitika comprising 200 villages, 2 Sangrahana, 2 Sangrahana. Sangrahana comprising 100 villages. Gopa was the officer in charge of Sangrahana. The village was the smallest unit of administration. Head of the villages is Gramika. Now it like Sarpanch in those days there is a Gramika. Gramika was the whole and sole responsible at village level administration, village level administration. He decided petty cases at village level with the help of village elders. This is the Pradeshika was the executive and judicial head of the districts. The district was subdivided into like this: Taniya, Dronamukha, Karvitika, Sangrahana. Then espionage and administrative justice. Espionage and administrative justice. The Mauryan Empire was a police state whose power was built upon a system of espionage to keep a watch over the conduct of the officers of the government. The state employed a large number of secret men such as detectives and news agents, capable and trustworthy persons of approved honesty, loyalty and ability were selected for the secret service to enable the king to maintain a close personal supervision over the administration of his officials, far and near, and keep himself adequately informed about the working of his bureaucratic machinery. This ensured proper control over the administrative machinery in the provinces. The normal life of the people, though watched and reported often, was not interfered. Just nothing but informers. Administration of justice. The king was the head of justice, but there were special tribunals of justice both in the cities and the country, presided over by Mahamatras and Razukas, and the courts were of two types: dharmas, dharmasteya or civil, and Kantaka Shodhana or criminal courts. Police headquarters and the courts were established in all the principal towns and cities. The Chief Justice was known as the Dharmadhikari. Then also in those days, to check maladministration and ensure judicial fairness and impartiality by judicial officers, the king employed a special class of officers to conduct quinquennial, or in some provinces every 3 years, tour. Hindu law, as embodied in the Shastras, was administered in civil cases. A large number of ordinary offences like giving false evidence, evasion of government taxes, causing serious harm to the artisans and workmen were punished by mutilation and death. Judicial torture was used to extort confessions. Then military administration. The Mauryans developed a huge military setup and well organized control system to maintain and govern it. The king himself acted as the head of the military administration. The entire control of the army was in the control of Senapati or commander-in-chief, was directly appointed by the king and was consulted on all matters of warfare. There were superintendents of horses, chariots, elephants, naval forces, and infantry, apart from the separate in charge of the armory. The affairs of the army were managed by an elaborate set of war officers, military commission consisting of 30 members. It was further divided into 6 boards, each consisting of 5 members and each looking after one particular section of the army. Each board had a superintendent who carried out the routine work of his department. This is the military system of Mauryan Empire. The Mauryan administration and features of Mauryan and central government of Mauryan, provinces of Mauryan, and military administration of justice are completed. Thank you.